What's up guys, today I'm going to do a new tutorial series and it's basically to fix your basics. So I don't know if you ever experienced this, but sometimes when you put like your edit in like an opinions channel or like a feedback channel on Discord, some people would just throw at you like the words fix your basics, and it's kind of annoying honestly. So that's why I'm making this series. You can just throw this video at people instead of just telling them to fix their basics, because this will help them a lot more. So in this part of the tutorial series, I'll just show you how to sync your clips and how to do your velocity or like your speed ramping. And these are like really the two crucial things of editing, or like zooms is also kind of a crucial thing, but that will be for the next tutorial. But for now, let's just get right into the video. So the first thing we got is a song. So I used the song New Jeans, and then we also got some clips. So I'm going to actually expand this edit way more. In this tutorial, we're just going to use 3 clips, but eventually I'll be posting this edit on TikTok and on Instagram, so you can actually watch the end result, which I think is pretty fun. So we're going to start off with our project settings, because believe it or not, this is something where beginners can go wrong as well. So usually if you make a new project, you get these settings instantly, but if you're already in a project like me, then you can just hold Ctrl+K, and then you can see these settings pop up. So the title is not very important, I just like to call it edit and then the name of the song. Then you want to set it to kind of like the resolution that you want. I'm going to make a square edit for now, but a few common ones are like 1920 by 1080. This is like the really basic one. Or you can even make the height a little bit less, so maybe 860. And then you can see you'll create these kind of like black bars. But for now, let's just make a square. So let's set it to 1080 by 1080. Then you just want to select square pixels, then the frame rate. You just want to set it to 24 because this is like the lowest frame rate that your eyes kind of perceive as smooth. If you set it even lower, your brain will think it's actually like jittery, and that can look good if it's like more of a retro style, kind of like vibe style edit. So definitely don't be scared to make it even lower. But if you really want that smooth feeling, then definitely set it to 24 or higher. You can even set it to 30 if you want. And then the resolution, it's not really important. I'll just set it to half for now, but this is basically our preview. You can view it like in full resolution or just half. But just keep in mind that this will definitely impact the speed of your previews. So it's best to set it lower if your PC is not very good. Alright, and then the last important thing is to set the duration. I usually just start off with 1 minute, so just change this to 1. And then the rest to 0. But eventually, if you press OK, you can just kind of scale this thing here. So if you grab it, you can kind of just see where your song ends. But mine kind of ended around 15 seconds, so I just made it this long. So that's it for the project settings. One thing you absolutely don't want to do is, for example, start off with 24 frames per second. And then midway your edit, you just change it to like a different frame rate. That will just not be good because some frames might be left out if you have like a really fast part. And then there's a big chance you just lose all of your impact. So yeah, definitely just stick to one setting and then press OK. So now we're going to start off by syncing the clips a little. So we're just going to listen to our song. And now we're going to find kind of like the first drop of our song. So maybe around here. And what you can do is deselect every clip. So kind of just like click it off somewhere around here. So make sure nothing is highlighted. And now you can press the asterisk key, which is like a little star key on your numpad. And then it will create this marker here. Now, if you do select the clip and press the same key, it will just create a marker on the clip itself. But that's useful sometimes, but that's not what we need right now. So you can press Ctrl+Z to just undo that. Now we're just going to find the next beat. So I kind of want to make it here. So deselect everything and then the asterisk key. Alright, maybe a little bit further. And then we'll do it with the last clip too. Okay, so let me check. Okay, so I want it on the me part of the song. Maybe around here. Alright, and also don't be scared if your beat's like a little bit slower and you have to do this type of shit where it's like kind of like black for a second. That's not really a problem. Just make sure it's not too long, like it's not here for example, because then we'll need to slow down this clip very much. That will just not look good as well. But a little bit of space between it is not that bad. Yeah, but for now we definitely just want it on this beat drop here. Alright, so now as you can see, there's no velocity at all, there's no zooming, but each clip just starts on like a drum kick, for example, or a certain lyric. So here it kind of starts on a really loud drum kick, and then here it starts on another drum sound, and then here it's the lyric that says me, as you can hear. So as you can see, you can experiment a lot with this. You can sync to a lot of things and definitely do that. You don't want to be the editor who only syncs to the drum kick, for example. And sometimes you have these songs like, for example, like these funk type of songs where it's really like only the drum kick that kind of feels synced. But in every song, you'll still hear like some type of other thing you can sync it to. So just definitely do that. Otherwise, you'll be stuck with like a really repetitive edit. So that's the syncing part. So now we're going to do velocity or the speed ramping. What you want to do is select the first clip, then hold Ctrl Alt plus T. And then you'll see some stuff will pop up. So now you can see you have these little keyframes here. So they're like little dots. And you basically should see them as something that's linked to the ends of our clip. So this keyframe is linked to this here. So you'll always need to kind of drag it with it. But just keep in mind that you always want them to be together. So that sounded so cute, but whatever. So for example, we'll drag this here to our second beat marker. And then we also need to grab the keyframe, of course. And then as you can see, our clip will be a little bit more sped up. Now for the second clip, you can do the exact same, Ctrl Alt plus T. And then this one is actually already almost good. And then the last clip as well. Alright, so we'll just do it here. And now we can drag this one out. And then this one as well. And now as you can see, it's really fully synced and there's no overlapping of the clips. So that's perfect. All right, now the next step is to drag each last keyframe one frame backward. So like this. Then for the second clip, just one frame backward. And the reason we do this is, as you can see, we still get like this kind of last frame of our clip. If you just do this, you can see it's like a very slight movement, but we actually don't have the last frame of our clip. So we need to drag it one frame backwards. And now as you can see, we still get that extra frame. So we just don't lose anything of our clip. All right, now the next thing is to kind of speed ramp it. So basically means that you're gonna slow down your clip and speed up your clip at times. So the way we're going to do that is firstly add a middle keyframe. So we're going to go to the middle of our clip and then just add a keyframe with this button here. And then we can just select them all and then press F9. And then we want to go to this button here. So it's the graph editor. I just want to click that. And I will see this really complicated shape. For me, it's not really complicated anymore, but I know if you're a beginner, this can look kind of overwhelming, but I'll just slowly walk you through it. So the first things are these yellow handles. You can drag them, as you can see. You can do all types of stuff with it, and it will kind of like shape your graph. Now remember, if you kind of like fucked it up, you can just hold Ctrl plus Z, and then it will kind of go back. All right, so just the basic principle you really want to get with the graph editor is that the steeper your graph goes, so for example like this, you can see this is kind of like a steep hill. It's basically gonna be faster on this part. So as you can see, it's first gonna go fast and then slow. So now the more flat your graph is, the slower it will go. So for example here, it will go really slow because there's almost no steepness in here. Now what I like to do, I'll just press Ctrl plus Z, is link these two handles together. So now as you can see, if you just move one, you can just completely freely move the other one. And you can create things like this, where it's like kind of a V shape, but that will definitely not look good. It will kind of like reverse and stuff, you know. So what you want to do is just hold Alt. And while you're holding Alt, you just want to drag one of these handles. And then as you can see, they're linked. And now you can just release your Alt key and then they're linked. So now they will always stay kind of like 180 degrees to each other. So the next thing you want to do is kind of create this shape. So just follow along with me and I'll explain what it does later. Alright, so now as you can see, this is what it looks like. Alright, so what it does is it basically goes fast first, then really slow because it's really flat here. And then it just goes fast again because it goes steeper again, as I explained previously. So that's honestly just the basic concept of the graph editor, and definitely feel free to just experiment with it. But I'm also very aware of it that you can do like a lot of wrong with the graph editor. So don't go experiment too much like this and then, you know, if you do this type of goofy shit, then it won't really look great. But eventually you'll really get like all the concepts of it. I also have like a separate tutorial purely for the graph editor because you can just do so much with it. So definitely check that one out if you really want to experiment more with the graph editor and just really want to understand it deeply. But yeah, for now we're just going to create this simple graph. And honestly, most of the time you'll create something like this where it just goes fast first, then slow, and then fast again. That's just the usual thing. So we're going to go out of the graph editor with this button here again. And then we're going to do the same for the next clip. So select them all and then F9. All right, then here we're going to just quickly create the graph like this again. And then make sure to link them with the Alt key. Alright, now as you can see with the second clip, it looks a little bit worse if you do this graph, because there's like very slight movement in here, and we can kind of change around where our slow part is. So now it's always basically in the center, but for example, if we drag this up or down, you can see our clip kind of changes. So if you drag it more down, the slow part will be more in the beginning of your clip. For example, like this. Now as you can see, you can slowly see her moving up. Now if you drag it more up, like this, you can see, we'll see her move up in a really fast way, and then we'll see him move in a really slow way. I'll make it even more clear. She moves really fast and he moves really slow. So you kind of want to find a good spot where the slow part looks good. Maybe here. Yeah, that kind of looks good where his hair is kind of slow. And I also think it looks good when she moves up really fast, like this. So let's just drag it a little bit like here. Yeah, that's perfect. So now you can really see it's this really speed ramping feeling. You can see within the same movement, it goes fast at first and then it goes slower and slower. So in her movement especially, you can just see her moving up really quickly and then just slowing down a little bit. So that's how you do that. And then we're going to the last clip. So here's the exact same. You just want to make a new keyframe. And then it also doesn't matter if it's like really in the center, you know, just roughly in the center. Then select them again, F9, graph editor. And then here, let's see what we can do. Here I actually want to make kind of like a reverse thing, which might be really interesting. So the way we're going to do like a reverse velocity is firstly, we're going to make it a normal velocity. So something like this, and then drag this one a little bit up and then link them again. All right, so now as you can see, he puts his hands in the air. And of course it goes fast first and then slow. And now we're just going to drag this keyframe all the way down. So now it actually goes below the second keyframe here. So we're just going to drag it even more down. And you can see it in the clip already. You can just see his hands moving downwards as well. So it's kind of reversed. And now you don't need to do it all the way down, you know, like you can do that, but just a little bit will be cool as well. And now as you can see, oh, that's actually hard. All right, so yeah, that's like a perfect example where you really just want to do a reverse velocity, you know. I could have done like this, for example, just on the normal stuff, like this. And it's all right, you know, but honestly, it adds so much more if you just do the reverse thing. But definitely, if you like don't completely understand this, then definitely just stick with the basic graphs. So the way it works is if your graph goes up, it will always go in like the right direction. So it will always look normal. But if your graph goes down, like here, as you can see, first it goes up, 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 and you can make it as slow as you want, but it will still go up, then will still not be reversed. But now we will actually make the graph go downwards. That's the reason why it reverses. Now, what I quickly did as well is just make this one really flat. And you can do that by holding shift. And now you can see it goes really flat. But now as you can see, in my opinion, it looks a little bit stiff because you got this like completely flat part. And if you're reversing, you'll honestly always get that, because if you make something like this, for example, now you might think it's not flat, but somewhere around here, it still will go flat, right? But I like doing it this way because then the flat part will be a little bit more towards the end, which kind of looks better in my opinion. Alright, perfect. Now we can go out of the graph editor. So now as you can see, this is our velocity. I'll do the other clips off camera, but for now, I think it looks great. Alright. So if you made it till here, then congratulations, because this is like honestly the hardest part about editing. I wish it would be like less of a basic thing if I were a beginner, but this is kind of like crucial. Like if you're making an edit, you really want that velocity to make sure you're like actually looking like a good editor, you know. And then in the next part, we're going to do zooms, which is also kind of like a hard part. But this is definitely the hardest one with like all the possible graphs you can do and stuff. So even with this tutorial, if you kind of lost hope in editing, don't worry, just keep going. If it's not the best thing you created now, don't worry about it. Honestly, most of the time, if you don't have like zooms and a lot of more movement in your edit, then this can look kind of like bad as well, you know. Like for example, this, it's not the best thing ever, you know, like it still looks bad. And that's just because we only did velocity. So definitely don't lose your hope. Alright, so yeah, I'll see you in the next part of the tutorial series. If you want me to help you even more with After Effects, then definitely check out the first link in the description down below, because there's like an editing group, and if you join it, I can actually help you way more with After Effects. You can book like coaching calls with me and stuff there. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you in another tutorial. Bye bye.